individuals surrounding this guy we call Reverend Wilson. But will no one fight back? Is there no one on the scene to fight back? Let's see. This is an article in the Gay Blade. So you know we didn't write this article. Despite brief brawl, ministers call meeting on black gays successful. A fight erupted Tuesday night in the sanctuary at Union Temple Baptist Church in Washington, D.C. when a group of men opposed to homosexuality demanded to speak at a prayer service designed to bridge the gap between gay and straight African Americans. The brawl began around 11 p.m. when a spokesperson for the anti-gay group began speaking into a microphone and a church member snatched it away from him. Bad move. You don't know Assembly like I do.
Oh, you don't.
You're not going to make this show. The altercation involved several men and lasted less than a minute. When Bishop George Augustus Stallers, I think before a little harder than that, but
I don't think so, brother.
One of the preachers who took part in a Family Hill service told the crowd to let the man speak. I cannot believe you're doing this, said the spokesperson for the anti-gay group to the Reverend Willie F. Wilson.
Yes, he did.
Wilson has for the past 17 years been pastor of Union Temple Baptist Church at 1225 W Street Southeast. You were a former hero of mine. The man who appeared to be in his 20s did not identify himself, but he and about 8 other men who were wearing red t-shirts left flyers about an upcoming discussion on July 15th that a group known as Positive Comedic Visions plans to sponsor. The flyer stating that the 3-hour discussion will be about the effeminization of the black man. In addition to criticizing Wilson, whose church sponsored the prayer service, the man said black gay people are voluntarily assisting in the black family's genocide. Black homosexuals are indeed sick, he said. They are sexually backward brothers and sisters. And he said that their homosexuality is related to being unduly influenced by white Europeans. We love everybody in here, the man concluded, but we hate your ways.
That's right.
That's what I'm talking about. That's fighting back. Let's give the brothers a round of applause. That was the Just in case you don't know, never try to take the mic from a black unifier. Bad move. But if we wonder why Reverend Wilson will be talking like this and we will get no salvation from the church, we just got to go back and look at the preachers in the past and understand. I'm sorry to say this, brothers and sisters, no insult to anyone in here. Christianity is not going to fight white sex. It's not going to fight white sex because Christianity is the religious system of the white race, and everything in their culture is going to be infused in it. Let's go back to this brother Martin Luther King. Loving Your Enemies, a speech November 17, 1957. The Greek language comes to our aid beautifully in giving us the real meaning and depth of the whole philosophy of living. Now when I saw this, I was reading the speech, I became confused because I said the Romans were the beginning of the Europeans that practiced Christianity. The Greeks were long before the Romans. So why would a Christian be studying Greece? The only thing that the Greeks are known is for white sex, so-called homosexuality, child molestation. I didn't understand, and he goes further and says, then the Greek language talks about feeling. And that's another type of love that's also beautiful. Ain't nothing beautiful about no freakish white sex.
That's right, brother.
And so we wonder why he was doing that, and we see how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Let's see. Let's see.
Who was advising Martin Luther King? When Martin Luther King's house got bombed, he had a gun on the inside of his house. He had brothers with shotguns on the outside of his house. There was a man in there. He said, nobody will come in here and shoot at my family. That's a man's position. We're going to fight back.
That's right.
Well, how did he get so soft and effeminized where his position would change from I'm going to defend my family to I'm going to be totally nonviolent. I won't resist white power strongly. I just think that we should all just go get beat up and walk home and show them how much we can take.
Speak the truth, brother.
Did he go over and meet with Gandhi? Or did somebody else go over to meet with Gandhi?
Somebody else.
In comes bed wrestling. Open white sex offender, so-called homosexual, and chief advisor of Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King had 2 chief advisors. The people who ran the SCLC and told him what to do. One was named Stanley Levison, a small head, and the other was, now when I tell you he's a homosexual, let me explain to you, brothers and sisters. The only reason that we know about Martin Luther King, probably, because he didn't get to run the civil rights movement. And the only reason he ran it from behind, he's the one who was the executive director of the March on Washington. Baird Rustin, not Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King gave a speech. Baird Rustin was appointed the executive director. But now, the reason that Baird Rustin was not in the position of Martin Luther King was not just because he was an open so-called homosexual. He actually got arrested one time. He got arrested a few times. But this particular time, he was in the backseat of a car with two white males. Now, we're not going to try to describe it. We'll just say they were having white sex. And so he was arrested on indecency charges. And so the whites said, we got to put you in the back. You can't run the movement because they got too much on you now. So we'll find somebody else to run it, but you just run it through them. This is the guy who actually was responsible for telling us to walk out in front of tanks and stuff and unarmed and never to fight back. In fact, this Baird Rustin guy, he was a real vicious dude. Obviously, a victim of racism, white supremacy, and a victim of rape and child abuse. It's obvious. We don't have that proof, but it's obvious. He was he lived with a white male, but one of the things we found, he lived more than one white male. Through his whole life, he lived with white males. So not only was he a white sex offender, but he was an integrationist. Not that we condone two black males being together, but we just trying to add up the multitude of bad things about the brother. But what we find is that one of the things that happens, one of the very devastating impacts of child rape is that we produce a lot of traitors. Because see, for the black female, you can't explain to her and get her to understand that the white male is the devil, that the white race is the devil when she's seeing the devil face to face. There wasn't nothing white about it. He was as black as any brother in this room. And for the black brother, you can't convince him that the whites are the problem when some black male ravaged him at some young age. How is he? It's going to be a very difficult process by which to show him how it's come up. And then to get him on the side of the race. And so we produce Oprah Winfrey's. A sister who always is promoting white power. But she told us what happened to her. She told us she was raped and told her family, and they called her a liar to this day. Maya Angelou. She told us she was raped by one of her uncles or some grown male. And her uncles did what they had to do. They took care of the problem. He didn't rape nobody else. He found him on the docks. You know how that goes. But because of that pain she's always had, I think she's been married to like 4 white males. Obviously, sister, if you listen to her closely, in her there's a spirit of resistance. But with the confusion that she suffered, the pain that she suffered in her life, all she can do is make the wrong moves because nobody has brought her in, explained to her what happened, and even given her a chance to understand it, and then to aim her guns in the right direction. We produce a lot of traitors. This dude was an absolute traitor. In fact, he assaulted every pro-black nationalist movement in his time. He assaulted Garvey. I mean, he said some of the worst things you can imagine about the Garvey movement. The Nation of Islam, the Black Power movement. Let's go forward. Let's see a conversation he had between Martin Luther King and Baird Rustin. This is in a book called Baird Rustin and the Civil Rights Movement. This is deep, brothers and sisters. King said in a phone call to Rustin in March, I've come to the conclusion that I see no possibilities of working with SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. There is no hope. Baird went further. These people are no-win, and sooner or later you're going to have to cut yourself off from them. There is nothing to be gained with a continuing relationship with SNCC in these projects. You are going to have to just draw the line. Now, you don't have to draw the line with a white sex offender that's going out here promoting this type of death and decadence. But he can't join with a black nationalist organization. And who's feeding him this? Who's effeminizing King, stripping the man out of him, and making him come to us with these weak, non-resistant to white power philosophy? This blatant freak right here. He goes on, King goes on to say, yeah, they're violent. They worship Malcolm X. They have a strong nationalist attitude. So I'm just pointing it out and say, brothers and sisters, we got to stop looking to preachers, Christian preachers, to save us, because if we go back to the origin, let's just go ahead and hit it. We about to get out of here. We almost done. But let's just end it where it is, really. If we're going to say that we can use so-called Christianity to save us, if we think we can do that, then why don't we go back and look at the Holy Bible and see who it was that decided that the Bible had to be written. Let's turn to the first page of it. The Holy Bible, containing the Old and New Testaments, translated out of the original tongues and with the former translations diligently compared and revised by His Majesty's special command. Authorized King James Version. Anything the European white male is going to touch, he's going to try to make it reach his highest and noblest aspirations. Who was King James?